listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Welcome to Grave Discussions. I am your host, Barnabas.
And I am your co-host, Samael. Welcome to episode 51.
Yes, this episode is titled, What Doesn't Kill You? And we've got a couple pretty cool movies that we're going to talk about.
I had to just throw that one in there.
You know what? I've heard that they do, actually. By giving you autism.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Did you know that the earth is flat?
What?
9/11 was an inside job. Glad we're starting off this with
conspiracy theory based episode.
Yeah. That would be great.
Oh man. Well, this episode is not about that, but we've got some cool movies lined up that we're going to talk about. Before we get into anything else, though, we did have to give a couple quick shout outs. First of all, to Sports Radio Detroit, of course, our hosts for hosting our show on all their platforms and just making Grave Discussions possible.
Yes, and you can find Sports Radio Detroit on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's S.R.D, Sports Radio Detroit, not Detroit Sports Radio.
Exactly. And we have one more quick shout out as well. Joe Myrick, who is actually here with us right now.
Yes, we're looking at him. We're looking at his face.
Yep, he's here chilling with us, and we did have to give a shout out because he wrote an awesome article about Grave Discussions not that long ago for the Hamtramck Review. So you can go check out that article by visiting our social media. It's on there. I'm going to put it on the website real soon. But yeah, we just want to give Joe a quick shout out and let him plug himself a little bit.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, here is Joseph Anthony Myrick. That's right, I know your government name.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold your applause.
Holding it.
You can find me everywhere on social media at whambamitsjam.com. You can find me on websites like Daily DDT, Diva Dirt, which I assistant edit for, Under the Laces, which I head edit for, Bam Smack Pal, and of course the good folks at Sports Radio Detroit. I hope I didn't forget anybody because that would look really bad on my resume. Hey, I'm bad promoting myself, so I'll just hand this over to the real experts.
Well, guys, all three of us are wearing glasses.
Yeah.
We're all blind as shit.
Pretty weird.
Right?
But yeah, that's Joe. Wham Bam, it's Jam. You heard it here first, folks. So
it's spelled exactly what it sounds.
Yep.
No extra M's, not Wham with 2 M's or Bam with 2 M's or Jam with 2 M's.
Exactly. So yeah, go check him out, guys.
Or It's with a Z.
He's an awesome writer, and yeah, you should read his stuff.
You definitely should. He provides some insight that I haven't even seen before or even thought about. He wrote an article recently for Sports Radio Detroit. What was your debut article?
Velvet Goldmine, that's it.
Velvet Buzzsaw?
Yeah.
He said Velvet Goldmine. That movie was not a gold mine. Yeah, he made some points because I know we had one opinion on it. We're like, yeah, it was all right. You should check it out. And Joe was like, fuck that movie. So
basically, yeah. But yeah, go check it out anyway. It's a great read.
Yes.
So, let's get right into some horror news here, guys. First of all, we know all about the CW's version of The Lost Boys.
Unfortunately.
Coming out with a brand new series, basically a reimagining of it. And it was rumored that they were going to be kind of gender swapping the Frog Brothers, and they are officially the Frog Sisters now.
Wow.
With this recent casting.
What a difference.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. I mean, it's not really that much of a difference. So, I guess how you're affected by it is entirely up to you.
I think people that are diehard fans of the original, like me, are going to be like why? What if we just made Blade like a Chinese guy? Yo, I'm gonna kill the vampire. Like, that would be fucking weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just different than the source material. That's really it. But we've got Sarah Hay, Cheyenne Haynes, and Haley Chu cast in it, and Haynes and Chu if I'm pronouncing that right, are cast as the Frog sisters. So that's that news. Once we have more information about it, we'll let you guys know.
Yeah, I don't want to yammer on about this.
But that was the big development there.
Teeny bopper bullshit.
The next article that we found is about a new movie called Tone Deaf, and I really picked this one.
What?
We've been
You see?
yeah, I
That was
get it.
good, right?
I get it,
That
you
was
asshole. I picked this one mainly because we've been on a Robert Patrick kick lately.
Oh, yeah.
Like seeing him literally everywhere for some reason. I don't know why.
He's just making a comeback. Wasn't he he Lost After Dark?
Yep.
And then we watched him.
I was in Nam.
Yeah, and then first, I just randomly decided to watch The Faculty. So yeah, the T-1000's been everywhere lately, and I'm kind of glad to see that because a lot of the actors we grew up watching in, like, for us it was like the late 90s, early 2000s. They're not really making appearances anymore that much, like Tara Reid and fucking Freddie Prinze Jr. and all these motherfuckers that we used to see. Like, they're not popping up, but Robert Patrick is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. And if they do pop up, it's usually in like these really like lower budget independent films, which is, I guess, is kind of is. But
yeah, Tara Reid was in Party Bus to Hell. That's a Tubi exclusive. So
what year was that?
Fuck, like 2017, 2018.
Oh, okay, it's not that long ago at all.
Like literally almost yesterday.
Yeah. All right, well, yeah, there's that one as well. But Robert Patrick is coming back. He's actually in this movie that is being directed by Richard Bates Jr., who some of you may know as the director of Excision, Suburban Gothic, and Trash Fire. And so this is going to be kind of along the same lines. It's a horror thriller, and it follows a millennial, it specifies that, Olive, played by Amanda Crew, who after losing her job and imploding her latest dysfunctional relationship, I'm quoting, leaves the city for a weekend of peace in the country. Basically, she rents a house from this widower guy, portrayed by Robert Patrick, who's struggling to hide his psychopathic tendencies. So, I don't know. It sounds pretty good.
He like just fucking sits in a tree and shits. Like he shits down the tree.
That would be psychopathic.
And then he just like stabs a bunny rabbit to death like right after.
How can you not respect yourself like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
There really isn't too much more information, but it's supposed to be premiering at the South by Southwest Film Festival on March 10th, so there's that.
Woohoo.
And then the last article we have is about the brand new Critters movie. That's right, movie.
What?
There's a brand new Critters movie coming out on Sci-Fi, and apparently it was rumored or something before, but I didn't really remember.
It's on Sci-Fi?
Much. Yeah, it's going to be on Sci-Fi, or they're producing it at the very least, but it's going to be on Sci-Fi. And filming just wrapped on it, so you should probably expect it soon, I would imagine, like at least within the next few months. And it's being produced by the guys who did the Tremors sequels for Sci-Fi, so it's probably going to have that same vibe.
Tremors 3 wasn't half bad at all.
Honestly, like, they were still fun movies.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know, the whole Tremors world is just weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not that interested in just looking at rocks and sand the entire
Agreed.
time, you know. So there's that. So Critters is kind of cool because it has like all these sci-fi elements and everything. So I don't know, I think if it keeps the same kind of like cheesy atmosphere, I think it's going to be pretty good. But kind of going along with that, let's talk about some trailer announcements. We've got Critters: A New Binge. Now this is what you may more likely have heard about. It's the new trailer for the all-new Critters series. It's going to be on Shudder. So, I don't know. What do you think about it, Sam?
I think it looks dope. Honestly, like you mentioned earlier when we were taking a quick look at it, the practical effects are kind of the game changer for me. Because if they had a whole bunch of little CGI critters in there and like CGI furballs flying everywhere, I'd be kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I think that Critters is one of those like kind of more low-key like cult horror things that the creators are like really passionate about keeping that same kind of like vibe to it. And yeah, I just don't think that you can do that with CGI.
Yeah, you can't, no.
So I'm glad they're going that route. It looks really fun, honestly. There was a lot of criticism about it, but for a low budget like digital series, I mean, what more can you expect, you know?
Yeah.
But for what it is, it looks dope. The gore looks cool. the actual critters puppets, the Krites, they look cool.
Yeah, and now it's like, I think it's already established that this series is like a horror comedy. But with this one, for sure, you can tell. Like,
Yeah. There's that like zoom in shot on that kid's face as he's going like,
yeah,
like
that's
really badly.
definitely, yeah.
It's like super intentionally like meant to be funny. But I am looking forward to it for sure. Critters, a new binge, comes out March 21st on Shudder. The next one is the hot topic, the new Ari Aster film, Midsommar.
It looks badass. It looks like it all takes place in the daytime too, which is weird because we've never had a horror movie take place like the whole movie in daytime, really. Maybe The Burning.
I think like The Wicker Man was kind of like that, but I haven't seen The Wicker Man. But so there have been like probably a handful. Most of them take place either like day and night or like at nighttime.
Yeah, and this just gives the movie a different feel, and the fact that Ari's directing it is, he's probably definitely going to give it that like supernatural thing, because we saw where Hereditary went, and there was some cult activity in Hereditary, and that's what this definitely looks like, some cult shit.
Yeah, the basic premise behind Midsommar seems to be that this couple goes to visit their friends. I think it's in Sweden, and they're having like this midsummer festival that basically it looks like there's this pagan cult thing going on over there, and this festival only takes place like every 90 years, and it doesn't really give away a whole lot more than that. But yeah, we can definitely expect some crazy shit, especially since this is the guy who did Hereditary.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be some heads flying.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that one, guys. That one's coming out August 9th everywhere. And the last trailer that we have is called In Search of Darkness, a journey into iconic 80s horror.
Damn, we've never had like an in-depth 80s horror documentary before. I mean, we've had 100 scariest movie moments, but that focuses on every scary movie. We had Halloween, which delves more into the Halloween saga, 25 Years of Terror. It kind of like touched on Black Christmas and like the slew of fucking 80s slashers imitators that were imitating Halloween, including like Friday the 13th and stuff. But we have never had anything that goes this in depth into like the 80s in general, and I think this is kind of what we need.
Yeah, honestly, it looks super cool. They've got a host of like 40 plus horror icons, including Cassandra Peterson, who plays Elvira, Don Mancini, Heather Langenkamp, Bill Moseley, Jeffrey Combs. There's just pretty much anybody that you can think of that's like a legend in horror. They're probably going to be in this documentary.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So it looks super cool, and it looks like it's going to explore a bunch of topics. I'm super pumped for it. And there's actually an Indiegogo campaign for it, which seems to be the only way that you can assure that you're going to get this movie right now. It's a British production, and basically if you back one of like the tiers on the Indiegogo, you can get the movie. There's like somewhere you can get like a t-shirt and a poster, just a DVD, just a Blu-ray, whatever. So if you go to Indiegogo, search for In Search of Darkness, and you can back this project. I think you definitely should if you're a fan of horror, especially if you're like an 80s fanboy like we are.
I'm definitely going to go drop some money on that.
Oh yeah. So go check that out, guys. Right now, though, we're going to move on to our very first segment of the day, where we are going to be discussing an 80s horror movie. And we're going to do so in The Cult Corner. And welcome back, boils and ghouls, to The Cult Corner, where we discuss every week a cult classic horror film, and we kind of just give a retrospective glance at it and just talk about it. And this week we're going to be talking about Night of the Comet.
Yes, Night of the Comet. And Barnabas, in your humble opinion, what makes this movie, what gives it its cult status?
Man, I mean, dude, this is just like a quintessential 80s movie. You know, it's got that like upbeat, cheesy soundtrack. Wasn't it like Girls Just Want to Have Fun that was playing when they were like raiding that shopping center or whatever?
Damn straight it was.
Yeah. You know, you have the cheesy performances, you have the cool practical effects makeup. Even just the way that it looks visually is very 80s. You know, I would say that this is probably like the Big Trouble in Little China of like horror movies of like the 80s. Like it's just that 80s movie.
Yeah, this is like, this came out like what, mid 80s? What was it, 85 or 86?
80. I think it was 84.
Was
if I'm
it?
not
So like
mistaken,
almost smack dab right in the middle of the 80s. So that's when 80s went from like the serious slasher kind of phase it was in the earlys. Then it slowly transitioned to like more cheese and more cheese as it went on. And we kind of see like the like safe mid ground with this movie. Like it wasn't like too cheesy. You know, a lot of people said, "Oh, this movie's super cheesy." Like it wasn't that cheesy. Like some of the shit in this was brutal. Like the part zombie scientists that were trying to drain people of their life force so they could stay alive longer so they could find the cure. But, you know, it's not really altruistic because they were kind of doing it for themselves because most people on Earth had been eradicated at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, even just the fact that pretty much everybody just turned to dust.
Yeah.
That was some crazy shit. I mean, in terms of like actual violence on screen and stuff like that and like gore and stuff, it wasn't really there in this movie, but this movie just has that nostalgia factor that makes it an instant classic.
This was like a 80s sci-fi like pseudo action movie, if you will.
Basically, because we both watched it for the first time recently, like just over the last few days.
Yeah, and I had to play it back to back just to fully absorb it.
I only watched it the one time, but so this doesn't have that, you know, like memorable factor for us because we didn't watch it growing up or anything like that.
Yeah.
But for me, you know, in all honesty, I liked the movie. I enjoyed the movie, but it wasn't what I was expecting, and I was kind of disappointed by it.
I thought it was going to be some over-the-top people strewn across the highway type stuff, and they're just mowing down zombies and getting on motorcycles while the 80s ballads are playing in the background, and they're just chopping heads off. And I didn't expect, like, this was kind of like the first movie that was at least zombie movie where they're like, humans are the real enemy.
Yeah. I mean, this was, okay, I'll say this. This is basically like 80s I Am Legend, except with less monsters in it and less, you know, all this introspective stuff. Because honestly, all the characters were kind of idiots and they were kind of shitty.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you didn't really care about them that much. I Am Legend, obviously, you know, you're really just stuck with Will Smith and his dog. But it kind of had that same vibe to it. Honestly, though, I wish that it was just them mowing down zombies.
I do too.
Yeah.
All right, here's the cheese part. Where like she's being approached by that zombie in the alley, and he's like, "Come here." She's like, "I'm warning you, mister. I know how to fight," or whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt you.
And then she like kneed him in the balls and threw him to the floor. Like,
yeah.
It's like, bro, he's a zombie. He wouldn't care if you kneed him in the balls.
Yeah. Well, you know, I guess that they were like maybe not trying to make them be zombies because they were like, you know, comet mutant creatures, which was cool. I mean, it was a creative concept, but then like you saw probably 5 total mutants throughout the entire movie, and so I think they should have tried to do more with that.
Yeah, we saw the hobo, we saw the cop in the dream sequence.
Yeah.
And honestly, the other ones weren't really like at all memorable, so I don't even remember.
Yeah, because those scientists turned to mutants at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
but that was kind of lame.
I guess they were technically mutants the whole time, like I said, because they were trying to like kill people so they can like take their whatever the fuck they needed, so they could stay human for longer, so they can look for a cure. But in the time you're taking to kill humans and like drain them of whatever you need, that time could have been used to like find a cure. So like, I guess they got to alternate. Like, all right, you two kill these kids with laughing gas. Tell them they're going to see Santa Claus. And we'll work on the cure while that's going on. Yeah.
The whole, like, story and the narrative, I think writing behind it, for me, kind of missed out. Because, the whole presence of, like, this underground secret society of think tankers, like, were they even really like scientists? I don't think they were so. Like, we have a think tank. Like, who has a think tank? Like 23-year-old guys that just graduated from UCLA
and manatees,
and they buy like a 10-foot by 10-foot space for like $15,000, and they think of an app. Like, that's what a think tank is.
That's very specific, but accurate nonetheless.
But you know what I mean? I don't know. That was just kind of a weird angle to throw into the story, because I really thought that the story was just going to be like a post-apocalyptic thing with them fighting off comet mutants the whole time.
So did I. I didn't think they were gonna go to like the headquarters of like the fucking center for
The
disease
Men in Black
control.
and shit,
yeah. When movies do that, that kind of ruins it for me.
Yeah.
Because like we watch these movies to see the mutants, to see them die, to see them rip people apart. We don't watch these zombie/mutant movies to see people go to like the hub that's responsible, or like the center for disease control. Like, oh wait, you guys are the real enemies, not the mutants eating people's fucking small intestines and big intestines.
Dude, I mean, and for me, like, I know you're supposed to like suspend your disbelief and stuff and kind of go along with it, and it is meant to be like a cheesy movie, you know, but I don't know if I can just believe that this comet comes out of nowhere, turns everybody to dust, except for people who specifically are surrounded by steel, which is kind of weird. And then there's like a whole secret society of these like scientists who know everything about the comet. Like
isn't
that
that so
just kinda,
happen to know?
Yeah, isn't this just kind of like weird?
It's crazy. Like the movie only makes sense because like the story is like completely arbitrary to like the script, not to any logic, just like Prodigy, if I may mention that again.
Yeah.
This movie also has the same issue. Like that this is only that way because the script says so.
Right.
And the things happen not because like that's how they would pan out, but because they were written that way. But still, nonetheless, it was good.
That kind of brings up how much I fucking hate the main characters, though.
Oh my god, especially
Because,
the little sister.
Listen. How do you walk outside? You see streets full of like dust and clothes, and there's nobody around, and you're like, well, yeah, this is normal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, isn't that
it's
weird?
Saturday. There's no kids outside. Over here, it's like it's Saturday. There's never kids outside.
Yeah, and then eventually the main girl, Reggie, she like, you know, convinces herself like, oh shit, it's like the end of the world. And then her sister, who is super annoying.
she's one of my least favorite characters in any horror movie.
Yeah, Sam. She like doesn't believe it not the entire movie, but for like half the movie, she's like, yeah, I don't get what you're so upset about. You know, like there's nothing weird going on.
Like when she saw her stepmom and the guy she was having an affair with, like in like dust.
Yeah.
Like it was just their clothes with dust inside them. There's a logical explanation for this.
Right.
No, there isn't.
There really is not. And
it's not okay.
so I kind of didn't care what happened to them after that, because I was like, man, how can you like just be that willfully ignorant? You know?
I was hoping that dream sequence when the mutant cop was like killing her, that it was real.
Oh man.
But it wasn't.
Do you think?
And then she bitched at her sister because her sister was like hitting on the last guy on Earth or whatever.
Oh yeah.
You always steal the guy from me, and now you can't even give me like at the last guy Earth. Like,
I don't know. Let's really consider it, dude. I mean, I feel like this movie was kind of sexist. Like, why are they just talking about some random guy
like during
and being
like
jealous? Yeah,
like a weird, like the end of the world,
instead of like looking for help or something.
As if women are that petty, and like I think the little sister was supposed to perpetuate every negative stereotype for like women. That's who she was. She was like what everyone thinks they are, and then her sister was what they actually are, you know.
Yeah.
Brave and warriors and mutant killers, and I will foil your plan.
But at the same time though, like she only survived because she had like a random one night stand with this guy, like completely just arbitrary guy.
Was his name Hector?
No, that was the guy they ended up with, but she was with another dude at the beginning of the movie, Larry.
Oh yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, I remember Larry.
And then like she goes off looking for him, and then once she meets the other guy, she just forgets almost completely about the other guy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, what the fuck? So it kind of opened like that. So I don't know. It obviously they were meant to be unconventional heroes, which I do applaud, but I don't know. I just was thinking about stuff like that, but there is a lot to enjoy in this movie, like for sure.
Oh yeah, the effects, at least the makeup was good. The effects were, I guess, nothing special because they didn't do anything really over the top. The acting was pretty decent, other than the little sister.
Yeah,
I hate her with every fiber of my being.
I mean, she was great at playing her role, I guess.
Yeah, just with every electrolyte in my body, I hate her.
Yeah, I feel you. The action sequences and everything were good. And a lot of the dialogue was actually pretty decent. I mean, the cast had some pretty good chemistry. I can't forget that one line with that gang leader guy in the shopping center. He was like, "I'm not crazy. I just don't give a fuck." Like,
when he
was
shot
great.
his boy.
Yeah,
That was great.
that was phenomenal. So there is definitely some goodness to be had here. The ending kind of like lost me, but yeah, it's just super 80s like nostalgic cheese. I just kind of wonder how perception of this movie would be if it didn't have that crazy nostalgia factor.
I think people would be like, "Wow, this fucking blows."
I don't know. That was like not my hidden secret, because I did enjoy it, but at the same time, I was like, there were a lot of things I wish could have like been different.
It didn't really withstand the test of time either.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, just based on like their hair,
Yeah.
you know.
This movie lacks just a lot of substance for me. All of those, I think any end of the world movie doesn't have much substance. Even A Quiet Place. Because it's just like, hey, it's the end of the world. Now what? We got to try not to die for the rest of our lives. Oh, all right, let's go. Like, that's it. Like, that's all that will ever happen.
If anything, I mean,
it's not like they're going to get, oh, great, now we're stuck in an amusement park. Like, it's just like, no, it's just, that's it.
I was going to say, like, you got to have a series or something that you can just, like, explore more stuff with, but...
With prequels, at least.
Yeah. Or, like, you know, like The Walking Dead is kind of perfect for that. Not now, obviously, but just the whole thought behind The Walking Dead is...
It's just like American Horror Story. It's not for fans of horror.
Kind of, yeah. I will say, though, that the comics are much better, but I think that takes the whole post-apocalyptic thing in a much better direction than a movie would. But I do have to give props to the filmmakers of Night of the Comet for getting that whole, like, city and, like, locking it down and, you know, getting all those empty streets and everything. Like, for a low-budget movie, that's pretty impressive.
They're probably like, guys, look, just don't come outside.
Yeah, honestly, that is how it be sometimes. They just, like, lock down a street, they post up signs, they let people know, and then they just shoot there. But, yeah, those are our thoughts on Night of the Comet. Overall, I did find it a really enjoyable flick, but the horror elements, pretty lackluster.
Yeah, the horror elements were lackluster, but what is there? The makeup effects and the 80s cheese and the nostalgia. Those are the three things.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely what most people watch it for. So.
If you want all of those things plus horror, just watch the original Night of the Demons.
Yeah.
Not Night of the Comet. But don't get me wrong. Night of the Comet's like a solid like 7 out of 10 for me. It's just an average 80s movie, honestly.
That's fair. Let us know what you guys think about Night of the Comet. We're going to move on to our main segment. We're going to be talking about a brand new film that just came out. But first, let's hear from some other S.R.D. shows.
All right, Fred. So the people at Sports Radio Detroit want us to cut a promo for Parsons and Slow.
I want them to cut me a check for Parsons and Slow.
Well, I've Googled some keywords, and I'm going to put them here in a promo. So here it goes. Ready, Fred?
Yeah, analytics away.
Parsons and Slow. We have the content consumers crave. Listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere else that podcasts are available, or we'll kill you. We won't really kill you. Just listen to our podcast, brand new, every Friday on Sports Radio Detroit.
Okay, I'm ready to do the promo.
Oh, that was it.
Because I feel like a salad tossing might feel good.
What? Out of Bounds Detroit podcast. Tuesday morning and Friday mornings here on SportsRadioDetroit.com.
Welcome back. And in this week's main segment, we've got a review of a brand new horror film. We actually posted a poll about it on Facebook, and it seemed like The Hole in the Ground was the winner. We also had Greta on there, so I might still go check out Greta, and maybe like we could do a written review or something like that. But
yeah, I'm down.
But yeah, we checked out The Hole in the Ground. It was a pretty small release. Only one theater in our area had it. And it was mostly just released on VOD. So I did rent it and check it out. And you just watched it last night.
Yeah, I rented it off Amazon Prime. It was like $6. Not bad at all.
Yeah, it's not bad. And honestly, I think it was pretty well worth it.
Oh, yeah. I kind of want to own the physical one now.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminded me of, I don't know if you saw it. You didn't see it. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, the Hollow Child. Same premise. So this kid, like, he fucking runs away or whatever. Not runs away, but he goes to play in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he comes back, he's not the same. And the mother can always tell. But the movie starts off with some creepy ass bitch almost getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
And she's just standing there whispering like, Mom's like, what the fuck is going on? And then lady just looks at her, and then, she grabs her mirror and drives off. So basically, this is one of those demon child movies.
Yeah. And if you guys have seen any of like the plot synopses or any of the descriptions, promotional material or anything like that, even the trailer kind of gives away that this is a changeling film. And so if you're familiar with the changeling lore at all, it's basically a fairy or an elf that usually gets replaced with a human infant. In this case, it was like a young boy. I don't know how old he was, like 8 or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
But that's usually the lore. They replace a human infant with one of their own, and it takes, the form of the replaced baby or kid or whatever, and they're just kind of mischievous, and they're not exactly the same, obviously. And this movie basically takes that myth and makes it into the horror film. It's not the first thing we've ever seen do it, but I think this movie did it really well, especially because the whole like changeling lore among other countries kind of originated around like Ireland and stuff like that. And this isn't Irish production. It's fucking Irish, man. Like, it's just full out.
You know what this movie reminded me of? At least like the mood of it and like the cinematography, the Babadook.
Kinda, yeah.
It's like if the Babadook had a baby with the Hallow and the Hollow Child.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I was kind of thinking that too, just because of the vibe and also because of the whole like mother-son relationship. That was a big part of it. Except that this movie, the payoff for this movie was vastly different than the Babadook.
Oh yeah, we're not gonna spoil that, but it was completely different. One thing I did not like about this movie though was like the lack of score. Instead of like an actual score, they just kind of had this foreboding music, like this kind of like with like the really low camera angle shots on like every scene. It didn't drag, but I want to say the scenes like moved very slowly. It was not a quickly paced movie at all.
Yeah, this was definitely a slow burn for sure. And there was a lot of diegetic sound elements, but I kind of liked that in some parts where, there wasn't really any music and you could just kind of like hear the gravel on the road crunching underneath the car tires as like some crazy shit's going on, where they find that one woman. I won't spoil what happens, but kind of what I'm talking about. And so there were some parts that I liked, but yeah, the lack of music didn't like really help build suspense that much. There was really only that like and like some of the nighttime scenes, I think.
Yeah.
But I did like the atmosphere overall. I really was impressed with the cinematography in this movie. I like the color contrasts, all the shadows and everything. The lighting was really good. So visually, this movie was awesome.
Oh yeah, and it was very technically sound. So aesthetically, it passes. Special effects. Now we could talk about that.
Okay.
What did you think?
So if we're pretty much referring to
basically the ending
of it, yeah. Like the very first like quick reveal, I liked it, but then pretty much at the ending, I was a little off put by it, just because it was a little much. But there was some practical makeup mixed into that, I think. At least it seemed like it, and that was pretty good. But there was kind of a disrespectful use of CGI at the end of this film, I felt like.
Yeah, that's what kind of bothered me. Initially when you see you could kind of tell like some guy was just like, all right, we're gonna take this, we're gonna computer generate it. I mean, Pumpkinhead was all like human.
Yeah.
And it looked real. Okay, that shit was terrifying. Like I said, the CGI.
I think it's difficult when you're trying to like interpret mythology, but so like I thought it was cool that this movie had the twist, I guess, or reveal that it had. But yeah, I don't like I don't like the way that they approached it. I think they could have done something a little creepier, a little scarier with like real makeup.
Another thing I didn't like in this movie is like, for the most part of the movie, you know what's going on, right? The mother's kind of in denial because, like she says, a mother can tell when there's something wrong, like with her kid.
Yeah.
So if it's a changeling, she can definitely tell, and she kind of noticed a bit late, which kind of made the actual scary elements like pop up like really, really late in the film, which kind of actually bothered me. Like, sure, it's an atmospheric movie, it's moody, it's dark, seems fucking hopeless, right? Because it's so fucking depressing. But like nothing really happens until I would say like the 52-minute mark. That's when shit started. Basically, with 30 minutes left, that's when stuff started. Going down like a lot. I guess the dream sequences were okay, like the Scar dream sequence, but everything else was kind of weak for me.
I kind of feel differently. I mean, overall, I liked the build-up and everything. I liked all the psychological elements to this film. I kind of think that this movie did it way better than The Prodigy. You know, they're both kind of like the creepy killer kid movies on the block right now. But,
oh, yeah.
So this movie, honestly, is what I wish The Prodigy like could have been. But it definitely still had its flaws. I kind of liked the build-up, though. I felt it was pretty natural. It was definitely suspenseful for me. There were some really cool scenes, I thought, like with the kid in his room and at the school. I thought that was a pretty good scene. So I kind of like the build-up, but I do kind of get where you're coming from, too. But I thought this movie definitely was remedied by the fact that like it kept pretty true to the lore, and the acting was really solid. And just, yeah, technically it was a good film.
I agree 100%. And I think if anyone gets a chance, they should definitely check this movie out. It was not, in my opinion, as good as The Golem. And honestly, I watched The Hollow Child on Comcast, and I like The Hollow Child a bit better than this film as well. But it's literally the same film as The Hollow Child. It's the same film, so
good to know.
I would check both of them out.
Yeah. I will also say, though, that the actual hole in the ground in this film was pretty cool. I think they did a good job with that. But yeah, if you do watch this movie, which I think you should, definitely be prepared for some familiarity, because most of the main criticisms were that just this movie employs a very typical sort of formula and definitely feels similar to a lot of other movies, especially a lot of modern stuff that's coming out that's very similar to this. Like you said, The Hollow Child, Hereditary, The Prodigy, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So, but I think it still stands out on its own for having a really cool premise and doing a good job of adapting this lore. So if you guys are into that kind of stuff, I think you'll enjoy it. So that's all we have to say about The Hole in the Ground. I guess if we had to give it a final rating out of 5, I gave it a 4.
3.5 for me.
All right.
Just because I've seen The Hollow Child.
Yeah, that's fair. I have not, so I guess that bumps me up half a point. So, yeah, we're going to move on here, guys, to our last segment. And we're going to be talking about another brand new film in this week's Chopping Block. And welcome to the Chopping Block, boys and ghouls. We're going to be reviewing Treehouse this week. It's the newest installment in the Into the Dark series on Hulu.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I just watched Down. I watched The Puka. I still haven't watched the first episode that we talked about a year ago, the one about the hitman.
Yeah, that one looked good, actually.
It looked good. I still haven't watched it. And then now this one. They're supposed to deal with holidays. I don't know what witch holiday there is in March. I guess St. Patrick's Day.
I think that the whole thing behind this one is that it was supposed to be the Ides of March, which really isn't like a holiday, but it's like a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something like, it's on like the 15th of March. It's supposed to be like this omen or something like that, because apparently it's like the day that they conspired to kill Julius Caesar. Some weird shit, but This movie, I guess, kind of plays on it because it's essentially about a celebrity chef.
Wannabe Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, basically Gordon Ramsay, portrayed by the incomparable Jimmy Simpson.
He's really good. I'll give him that. He's fucking great.
He's very good.
I really like that guy.
Fucking Liam McPoyle from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Badass.
But he's a great, serious actor. And he is starring in this.
He's really fucking funny too, like naturally funny. Like you could tell, like he's just playing himself. At least like how loose he is and how he tells jokes. Like,
he's just a natural actor and comedian. So I fucking love that guy. But he is a star in this. He portrays Peter Rake, who's basically is a shitty guy on camera and in real life, and he gets embroiled in some like unknown scandal and retreats to his country house. And so he goes there and he encounters this group of women, and basically from there just the night gets crazy because these women come over and they essentially
torture.
There's this whole like witch story behind it, quote unquote.
Witch.
So I thought that was kind of cool. I just don't know if I like the way that they ended up like taking that whole subject.
I don't know, it was weird. This was a spoiler. This is a #MeToo movie, so that was like the basis for this. So it was just, I want to say it was done different. I didn't expect for what happened to have happened. I did not think. I thought it was gonna be actually supernatural. I mean, you could kind of sense there was like a faux supernatural element, and it wasn't really like supernatural. Oh, we put a paralysis spell on you, like bullshit. I don't care what movie it is. Like, I'm not gonna believe that someone just put a fucking spell on someone. They drugged his ass.
Yeah. So basically, this group of women seems to be like a coven of witches or something.
They all have the tattoo from Charmed.
Yeah, basically. But essentially what this movie kind of boils down to is that this guy, Peter Rake, is pretty shitty to women. And the movie kind of revolves around what happens to him because of that. This movie comes in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein thing and all this stuff about abusers of women and everything like that. So it definitely plays on those themes like pretty heavily. And at some points, I almost kind of want to say like too heavily. I don't know. But as a movie, it wasn't really too bad. I just kind of wish that it stuck to more of those supernatural themes and wasn't maybe so preachy. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it was a little bit cheesy.
I'll say this much. I thought that the cinematography was pretty good. This is like a Hulu series. So it's pretty well produced. The acting is good. Jimmy Simpson was awesome. The whole main cast of the women, the coven, they were all great. The story just, I think, could have been tighter and maybe geared in a direction that exemplified those themes, but not in a way that was like too over the top or that like completely altered like the course of the story. Basically, I read Roger Ebert's quick review of it, and yeah, he basically said like this is a movie that's like good, but you wish was better. And I kind of agreed with that. I think even they could have just like used some different angles or lit the scenes a little bit differently, possibly. And I think it could have came off like a lot better than it was. But so, I mean, for me, I'll say, I think you can skip this one. I think for me, it's chopped.
Yeah, it's chopped for me too.
But
it was boring, honestly. Like, it was boring because it tried to be like so substantial. Like, it was just like as soon as this movie took off, it stayed going crazy, but like the direction it went was just bad. Like, I felt like something else could have been done to him rather than just the whole boring like.
Yeah, I think so too. I think narratively it could have been definitely a little
I think
better.
it could have been a little bit more like implicit too. The movie itself was the message was too like straightforward, I think.
Yeah, if they kind of just downplayed it but still made the point, impactful and relevant, then I think it could have been a lot more impressive than it was.
I agree. The movie was just weird, honestly.
Yeah, that's about what I'll say for it too. Well, those are our thoughts on Treehouse. If you guys do check it out and you like it, let us know. And
we'll be sure to stay away from you.
I still found some parts of it enjoyable for sure. I mean, Jimmy Simpson's performance is awesome.
Yeah, he's the only good thing about that movie.
So that's all we have for you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share our stuff, and of course comment as well. We have a website, gravediscussions.net, and we have a bunch of social media too. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look up Grave Discussions or Gravedisc S.R.D. on the tweeters.
Yes, tune in next week where we do cartwheels on top of a church.
Ooh. On
Grave Discussions. Don't edit that out. I want them to know I have bronchitis.
All right.
This has been an SRD production.